Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Jodo Cast, your Star Wars gaming podcast. This is episode 82. My name is Evan Lewis. I am, of course, joined by Leo Andri.
I think you just introduced me, but I'm not sure because you cut out. So, hi.
Good pickup. You timed it just right. That was perfect. And Joe Litovsky.
Hey-o.
Hey-o.
Chopper Dave.
Ray Egon.
I need like a sound effect that's my signature.
Ah.
But when I was in college, we found on the public access channel there was a guy based out of like Western North Dakota or something who had a weekly show. His name was Freight Train Todd Haugen. This man was a legend. Essentially, what the show was it's a country boy. He was probably in his 40s, 50s, in a cowboy hat, amazing like Western rhinestone clothes, and he would just sing country songs in his basement in front of what seemed like an old VHS camcorder, and sometimes his kids would come on, and they were all really bad at singing. So it was great. It was hilarious. It was wonderful. But the thing is, he had a train whistle was his signature. He'd take the microphone, tilt his head back so the bottom of the microphone is pointed up, and he'd go, ooh, ooh. And it was like his like calling card. And that's why they call him Freight Train. And I sent him a letter on his Facebook page, and I got him to give us a shout out because we'd all like a couple of us, like five of us would watch every week at the fraternity house, and he'd be like, "This is going out to Joe Lovsky and the boys of Theta Chi Fraternity. This one's for you." And he gave us a train whistle. That's what he said. Oh, yeah, also, he couldn't read very well. He was not good at reading. It was very apparent when he was reading his fan mail that he couldn't read very well.
No.
Oh, that was good stuff. But see, I need my own train whistle so I can be on that level. Every celebrity needs their own sound effect.
Man, we never had the coolest thing we had on our public access channel growing up was this show called Fishmasters. And it was like the two guys on this fishing show were basically playing characters that was supposed to be knockoff of Wayne and Garth from Wayne's World. So imagine Wayne and Garth going fishing, and there you have Fishmasters. But it was not nearly as entertaining as I imagined Freight Train to be.
Yeah.
I have that on. I think I have it on like YouTube. I might have to.
I was going to say there's got to be a YouTube. There's got to be a YouTube video of it. If somebody saved all of the old Smokey's restaurant commercials and put those on YouTube, somebody had to have saved Freight Train and put him on YouTube.
I recorded the specific instance where he gave us a shout out, so I'm going to try and find it. I'm going to throw that up in our patrons channel on Discord. But after this episode comes out, if somebody reminds me, I'll share that on our Discord somewhere.
I thought you were about to say, after this episode comes out, we might not have any patrons anymore. So thank you, patrons. You're wonderful. You can find
because they're like, it's been 10 minutes and they haven't even gotten to like the preamble to the main topic.
No, the preamble to the preamble. So thank you, patrons, over at patreon.com/thejodocast. I can't believe you put up with this. So we appreciate everything you do for us. And, of course, people that are wondering how we say thank you, there are many ways that we say thank you. One way is that right now patrons can jump into Discord as we're recording. They can listen to this nonsense as it's going on. They can tell us their favorite public access show and what sound effects should go for each one of us. So that's just one of the many things that you can be a part of when you're a patron. So we appreciate all those people. They're wonderful human beings. And yes, you can find out more about that following the link.
Did you just assume their species?
No, because it was said facetiously, because that's from the special edition where he's not necessarily a human being.
Ah.
Ha ha ha.
Oof, nice save. We almost got sued.
But yes, you can find a link to the Patreon over at jodocast.com. You can also find a link to the aforementioned Discord server. You don't got to be a patron to come on there, but you do get a special lounge where you can hang out and talk with us. You can talk with everybody else, though, too, and it's great. All day, every day. And there's links to all of our other social media stuff, too, as well as a survey where you can tell us what you love, what you hate, what you want to see different. You can help us shape the future. You are the future of this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. So we appreciate you. And right now, the patrons can get a look at the Theta Chi shout-out from Freight Train up in the Discord. So if nothing else, you can get that. You're welcome. So thank you, everyone. And I do want to go off script really quick before we get to what we've been playing. And just say, for me, and my co-hosts can certainly give their 2 cents if they want to, but I just want to say really quick that Star Wars fans, yes, I'm going there. No one is obligated to like the new things. No one is obligated to like any of the new content that is put out, but no one should feel at liberty to attack people that create content at a personal level. And then you also don't get to cry when you are called out for doing so. I am notoriously not a fan of Aftermath, but you know who is pretty freaking cool? Chuck Wendig. I'm not going to attack the man. I'm going to applaud the man, even though I'm not a super big fan of his books. So I'm not going to spend all this podcast talking about that topic. You can follow me on Twitter and then unfollow me as you see fit. So that's all I've got to say about that. I
gotta say you were more diplomatic than I would have been.
It's hard. It's so hard because
I think most of those people are scum.
Yes.
All right. They're a bunch of shit sandwiches.
Yeah, that's. I was going to say, not in like the cutesy way everyone Star Wars fan uses the word scum. And they're like, oh, rebel scum. No, they're like literal just the worst. Go away.
There you go.
It's just like, it could be a whole thing. Like why would you keep consuming content for something you apparently get no joy out of? But we're not a psychology podcast. We could start one.
Oh, boy, could we. But yeah, that's the point. If something makes you that angry, just don't do it. Read the old books. The old books were great. Not all of them, but they overall good. No one's taking that out of your hands. Don't attack people. And we are a very small voice in this community compared to other ones who are bigger voices who are defending these people. And that's wrong. And
nobody likes them.
They really don't. I used to listen to them. I can't believe that.
Same. A long time ago.
Yeah.
Just so nobody's left in the dark, I hate people who, quote, subtweet. Rebel Force Radio is just bullshit. They can suck it. Right?
Yeah. Yes, that is exactly who I'm referring to. And
should we also explain the situation for people who don't know what's going on?
Here's my understanding of it. Lots of people have... many of you probably know that Kelly Marie Tran has been presumably forced off the internet because she can't handle the people harassing her and being racist and misogynist and all these things. Another side of the situation is Chuck Wendig, the person who wrote the Aftermath books, which none of us are fans of, but Chuck Wendig's pretty cool. He had a big thread on Twitter basically saying these types of fans are shit and they're dumb and I can't deal with these people. They're the worst. And then Rebel Force Radio said, this is real bad that Star Wars creators, he makes Star Wars, are insulting and attacking the fans, and this isn't cool. Star Wars or Lucasfilm should do something about this, but Chuck Wendig and then Ryan Johnson hopped in, and some other Star Wars creatives like Mark Hamill stepped up to defend Kelly Marie Tran. They're just like, they're saying the people who harass people, these like, you know, racist, misogynist dickwads, these people suck and deserve to be made fun of and shamed for the way they behave online. And Rebel Force Radio is saying Star Wars creators are attacking fans, and that's not cool. That's essentially the situation, and why Rebel Force Radio sucks is because they're kind of taking the side of the shitbags who deserve to be shamed and have no place in the Star Wars community. That sum it up?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yep, could not have said it better myself. And to honor that, I'm probably not even going to edit this episode. I'm not gonna do any bleeping, at least on this part, because needs to be said.
I felt like I wanted to just directly say who we're talking about, because it bugs me when I see people tweeting about, like, even if I know or don't know who they're tweeting about, they're like, oh, such and such shouldn't behave this way. I'm like, just say it. Or don't say it. But come all out with it, or just don't say it at all, or talk to your friends off Twitter about it.
That's why we hired you. All right. Well, I'm glad we all got a chance to say that, because my blood pressure has been through the roof on this lately. But
I don't like, these people. Do they watch Star Wars? Are these the people who, like, unironically think the Empire is the right side? The entirety of Star Wars says selfishness bad, selflessness good, hate bad, compassion good. That's like the essence of Star Wars morality, right? I don't get it. How can you be a fan of Star Wars and behave this way?
That is the question. Just
Yeah, I don't know. Isn't
answer.
like Ted Cruz a big Star Wars fan? Supposedly.
Probably right.
I don't know. How can you be the Zodiac killer and a Star Wars fan?
Yeah, who knows?
Well, I guess there is something for everybody in Star Wars.
He probably loved the Death Star. Maybe he cried when it got destroyed the same way the Rancor Keeper cried.
Oh man, I think. Wait a minute. Did Ted Cruz play the Rancor Keeper?
It's
They
entirely
might be the
possible.
same person.
All right.
Too bad. Too bad.
Oh dear. All right. All right.
Oh man, it's too dark out. There's currently like a parade of javelinas walking underneath my window.
Now we have to explain again what a javelina is.
Or you could just edit that out.
All right, fine. But it's too funny.
There's just a bunch of like bristly boar pig things that are technically called peccaries. If you call them pigs, people can get pedantic about it.
Okay. All right. What have we been playing? Joe.
Legion. I played in a Legion escalation tournament. It was okay.
So was this the first round where you only got like the 350 points or whatever on like the
first round is a 3x3, 350 points, and there's also like restrictions on what types of units you're allowed to take. You can't bring any heavies, things like that. Second round was like 500 on a 3x3. Yeah. Third round was 650 on a 3x6, and last round was the full 800 on a 3x6.
Okay, so you did play all 4 rounds?
Yes.
Okay.
And it took, I think it started around 10:30 and we ended around 6, and we had an hour for lunch. So it wasn't actually much different from like any like an X-Wing tournament or something. It was fun. And each round had the same deployment and objective, because I think that's what was set in like the operation or whatever they call it on the website.
Uh-huh.
And then everyone was cool with just letting the judges play the tokens for key positions, so they were a little bit more fair, I guess. I don't know. It was.
I guess
any trouble with that.
Oh, well,
I was like, wait, isn't this the one where we're supposed to place the tokens? And then it was like, whatever. They're all even enough. Doesn't matter.
I don't know. I guess I wouldn't like that. Well, was it? Was it Longest March or was it Battle
Lines? It was
Lines?
Battle Lines.
Okay.
It was Battle Lines.
Then I guess it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. But it was
there's
fun.
Because there's some like with Longest March and key positions, red player or I mean the blue player can get a big advantage by placing
Huge.
2 of the 3 tokens way down on their end of the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but so I can't imagine like the first round or so was very exciting though, because that seems like that would be.
I actually enjoyed it.
That would be more like playing the demo game almost. And although I suppose there you actually had like full terrain and stuff, and I think that was a big thing with the demo games is when I played like the demos back before launch. You know, none of the stores I played at really had the terrain to use, so it was like what you just got all your guys at range behind barricades and then just stood there and shot each other until 6 rounds was up.
I enjoyed the first round because I had 4 things of troopers in Luke, and he had Veers and like 3 stormtroopers and some snowtroopers or something. And because of the way the terrain was set up, there was actually a decent amount of maneuvering and stuff like that, and I had my dudes like climbing up into a tower to hold the objective and stuff. I thought it was actually fun. Like the command phase really didn't matter because you just always gave a command token to your leader and then you were set. But the tournament was fun, although the more serious people play, the less fun I'm gonna have. Like, trying to metagame Legion is gonna take the fun out of it for me. Nothing wrong with people doing that, but the game is too. That's not how I want to play Legion. It looks like, a fun battle with all these kind of.
Yeah, you just kind of want to be.
It's so imprecise. I just want to have like a Star Wars battle that's fair, not.
And you just you're kind of more of the attitude where you're like, okay, so like speeder bikes, or I mean not speeder bikes, the T-47 airspeeders. Frankly, they're not that great of a unit, but you might want to fly them just because you like the airspeeder.
Right. I don't need to get the best build, and I also don't need obviously knowing the rules is important, but I'm not going to be crazy pedantic if there's a slight disagreement on things, and if it's not a big deal, it's whatever. I just here to have a Star Wars.
I tried to play in Legion League this week as well, actually just last night, but we ended up having an odd number of players and I got the bye, so I just kind of got to hang out and watch some other people play, so that was fun, I guess.
So you won a Legion.
I mean, I got a win. Yay.
Hey. Lots more wins than I have.
So, I guess the cool thing, though, is since that probably guarantees me more money than I put in
there you go.
to the league. Because that's the way, our, the guy that runs that store tries to, as long as it's not, a league or something where he had to pay money, if he had bought one of the kits or something like that, his delivery of the recruitment kits was delayed, so we didn't have those yet to play for our league. So right now there's no quote prize support. So he just gonna make sure everybody gets back what they paid in, at least for the league, basically. So that's cool. I like that idea.
Very cool.
I don't even know what the prizes for this league are. I know the first place is going to get a battle foam storage solution, but I'm assuming everyone else is going to get nothing. Because we got the kit prizes for this escalation tournament.
Well, yeah, because you got both kinds of tokens and both cards, didn't you?
Yeah, we were all like, oh.
Yeah,
because the way it's
supposed to be, because there's two different types of operations for like that first kit. There's one that's an escalation, and then the one that's what the heck is it, like the strategic operation or something like that. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's where you have like the 4 different scenarios basically that you play through. And the kits are technically supposed to be like 1 month the store runs the one type of escalation or the one type of operation, and then you get like the Imperial coin and the Stormtrooper card, and then the next month they run the other operation, and then for that one you get like the Rebel coin and the Rebel card. But I don't know, whatever. I mean, I guess it's the stores. They bought the crap, so they can do whatever they want with it. Divvy it out however they want.
Is that it for you?
Yeah, that's it.
All right.
Well, I spent... It's actually kind of annoying because it's extra annoying because I spent a whole bunch of time trying to get my Imperial army all glued together and at least primed and stuff before the league yesterday, and then I never even got to take them out of the box.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, that is disappointing.
Boo for that. How about you, Evan?
I was going to say, but hooray for my Edge of the Empire group getting back together after a week's hiatus. And again, it was a ton of fun. And again, they all seemed to have fun. I got to, we got one of my players, Christian, is in chat right now. He plays Brill Badwazi, a Twi'lek politico-colonist, I believe. He'll correct me if I'm wrong. But he's a talker. He's not too much...
What's the name of the publication?
It is the adventure that I'm running?
Yeah, no, like, who does he work for? You said he's a columnist or something.
Oh, no. Colonist, not columnist.
Oh, sorry.
Although that would be pretty great.
I was picturing him with like the little trilby with like the notepad stuck in it and like a data pad, and he's like, Bro Badwazi, Coruscant News. Can I get your opinion?
That would be phenomenal if Reporter is not an Edge of the Empire class. That needs to happen. That would be terrific. Yeah, he would play that. That is exactly the kind of person he would play. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun. They got to fight off a droid rebellion. Not at all inspired by Solo. It wasn't. It's from a pre-written adventure. But that type of thing always works. And had a lot of fun playing as an EV-99 type droid and a whole bunch of B-1 battle droids. Got to really flex my Roger this time round. And once again, the Wookiee is the one poning all the mobs, killing all the bad guys by herself. It's pretty great. I'm sure there's a lot more to talk about, but Christian's tweets, he summarizes each evening's adventure, and it's quite hilarious. And what else? Oh, I reinstalled the Old Republic, because if they're going to start bringing out new stuff, I want to be ready. And I've never uninstalled Battlefront 2 from my Xbox, but now I am excited to get on there and get me some Han Solo or Lando skins and scruffy goggles Chewie.
Yeah. You want to play Battlefront after we're done recording? That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Well, in fact, we're going to be talking about that tonight. Again, video game stuff. But yeah, I would be all in favor of getting on there. Is the new stuff is out, right? It's raring to go?
No.
No? Well, crap then.
Like some of it is. Some of the stuff in that trailer they released today had been out for a week or two.
Yeah. I don't know.
But we can still do Ewok.
That's true.
You haven't played that yet?
Oh, I mean, I got to get some credits so I can actually buy those skins and whatnot anyway, so there you go. All right, so speaking of shooting stuff, I thought we'd talk about sort of the history of first-person, parentheses, third-person shooters set in Star Wars games from all the way back to what I would consider the first one, being Dark Forces. And see how things have sort of peaked and valleyed, and just try to, talk about how they've gotten to the weird point that they are now, where, as you've pointed out, Joe, in multiple tweets, that the state of Star Wars video games is not great, even though it's like the easiest thing in the world to make a game out of, you would think. So, yeah, we're just going to kick it off. I've got a whole list of...
I honestly wonder if that's why Star Wars games kind of aren't great right now, is because they know they have a built-in audience. They put Star Wars on it and ship it. They've sold products, and they don't, need to try because they know people like us will just go and buy it without questioning it. Or we'll question it, but we'll buy it anyways.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. So yeah, the first one, I couldn't think of anything else, any other behind the back or first person shooter prior to Dark Forces. And that one kind of set the tone because that came out in the age of the first Doom and the Doom clones. Like, everyone was making a Doom clone back in those days. And Dark Forces was a really sophisticated one.
That's back when first-person shooter wasn't a genre yet. It's just every first-person shooter was called a Doom clone.
Yeah, if you weren't playing Doom, it was just like, well, what else are you playing? It's like, well, maybe Wolfenstein, but that's really it. Everything else was just trying to be as good as those. And Dark Forces really, stepped it up. That was a really sophisticated one compared to the id Software titles, at least from what I remember. And, they just got better with Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and then that whole series, they wound up with 4 in that series between Jedi Knight 2 and then Jedi Knight Jedi Academy.
God, seriously, the numbering in this series is so...
Yes.
Because, we get Dark Forces, followed by Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight, and then do we get Dark Forces 3? No, we get Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast. Followed by Jedi Knight 3 or Dark Forces 4? No, neither. We just get Jedi Knight Jedi Academy. That's all I got to say.
I should just put an explicit tag on this one and have that be the end of it. And I couldn't... that was kind of a weird era because we got so many shooters between 94, 95 and 2004/2005, because we got that whole line of Dark Forces. We got Shadows of the Empire was 1996, and I'm including that one because I think it's the first third person, just behind the character shooter. And,
well, didn't you in the Jedi Knight games when you were doing the lightsabers and stuff? Weren't you in third person?
You could switch, I think, as of...
maybe... at least I know... Jedi Academy was the one I played most recently, and that's what I remember.
I think in... Definitely Jedi Knight 2, definitely Jedi Academy, you could switch between third and first person. I remember playing Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight with a lightsaber in first-person perspective. But, in any event, 2002, we got Republic Commando, part of the original Clone Wars multimedia initiative. And then the Bounty Hunter game, which I know, Joe, you're a fan of that one. Both of those, actually.
I'm more of a fan of Republic Commando because I've actually played through that multiple times. And I've been thinking about playing through it again and maybe streaming it or making a video of it. But Bounty Hunter is really cool, but I've never finished it. Because I never played it when it came out because it's only on PS2 and I guess GameCube. And I never had that. And then in college, I bought it because my roommate had a PS3. So I started playing it, and then it was really hard and not worth my frustration levels to try and get past a certain level that kept stumping me. So I never finished it. Because it was okay, you hit a checkpoint, and then if you die 3 times, you don't go back to the checkpoint. You just start the whole level over. And I was like,
Ugh.
I can't deal with this. I need you to hold my hand more, game.
Or at least one that doesn't punish you quite so much.
Yeah, it's a cool game.
Yeah.
It's a really cool game. You can like light innocent people on fire with your flamethrower.
Which we see Django do frequently.
That's his when he's bored. Like, Boba, I'll be back in a couple days. Daddy's got business to do.
Well,
I remember the commercials for that too were so cool. There was these like I don't think maybe they were live action. I'd have to watch them again. Some really cool commercials.
I could see those being live action. I was tempted.
I just remember there was one where there was like a little reed sticking up in the water, and you heard like panicked breathing, and then all of a sudden Django's hand grabs it and thumb goes over the top, so he yanks the guy out from under the water.
Damn, I'm gonna have to find this. I don't remember that at all. And then, of course, in 2004, the same night that they released the original trilogy on DVD for the first time, we got the original Battlefront that was on consoles, PS2, Xbox, and PC.
Mm-hmm.
And that was pretty good.
The best selling Star Wars game of all time when it came out.
Yeah, they made sure that we knew that. They made a
Yeah,
a point of
that's probably why I
telling us
know
that.
that.
Yeah. And I'm pretty.
That game was great, and you could go prone in it.
Oh, you could. That's right. I forgot about that.
And you could go to Kashyyyk, and this was before Revenge of the Sith came out.
Yeah, there was. I mean,
You
at
could-
the time, or even looking back on it, there was a lot to like about that one.
I mean, that game still
Yes.
has some things that are better than the 3 subsequent games. Mostly the map design I really liked. Like the Dune Sea, where you could ride around in a skiff with a bunch of dudes on the Tatooine skiff and fight around the Sarlacc, and people get grabbed by the like low poly tentacles.
Because in the old ones, you could just like hop into and out of vehicles that you found around the map, right?
Yes.
Yeah, far superior.
Even
to-
like a droid starfighter, a clone trooper could hop into it.
And that was from the same studio that brought out, what was it, Mercenaries? And that was like...
Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction. That game was awesome. I'm sure if I looked at it again today, it probably wouldn't hold up, but that game was great.
And that was kind of the hallmark of that, was that you could just jump into any vehicle and blow up whatever on the map, as I recall.
Yeah, it was just a big open world game where you were a mercenary in, I don't know, North Korea or something, just driving around doing missions, shooting dudes. I think Battlefront came out before Mercenaries, because in Mercenaries, if you put in a cheat code, you could play as Han Solo.
Oh. That's thematic. All right.
So he's just got, you don't have lasers or anything, it just changes the skin, so he's just gunning down people with real bullets. And in the first Battlefront, Leo might like, is you couldn't play as heroes. The whole point of the game was you're a trooper, and every once in a while you might glimpse a hero fighting alongside you in the distance, or if you saw one on the other team, you'd just be like, well, I'm fucked, because you couldn't kill them. Oh man, that game had great maps. Now I'm thinking of the Bespin platforms. That map was awesome. So that's the only map where you could like hope to kill a hero, because you hit them with a grenade, so the grenade just launches them off the ledge and they fall.
Sadly, the only map that I remember is the open plain of Naboo.
Oh yeah, I barely remember that one. like the head statues
Yeah.
in the grass.
I don't even remember if I ever played the first one, even.
I played the crap out of that game until Battlefront 2 came out.
Just a year later, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, which is kind of weird when you think about it. That game, I feel like out of Mass Effect and Gears of War, if I could like check my stats, I feel like I've probably put more play hours into that game than any other game. because I played it a bunch on the Xbox, and then I played it a bunch on the 360. I don't think I ever just put that game down and never picked it back up until I got an Xbox One and couldn't actually play it anymore. Which I think I can now, maybe, but
I'd be amazed if they hadn't made that backwards compatible.
I think it is. But I don't think you can play over Xbox Live, so it's not worth it. It'd make more sense to just go play on computer when you can actually play with your friends.
Yeah.
Although the magic of Battlefront 2 for me was always playing split screen with either my brothers or my friends in college or whatever.
I think split screen is still the best way to multiplayer, but that's because I'm old and I remember.
I wouldn't really say that it's the best way to multiplayer.
No, it's not.
But it definitely does have its charms, you know, and it depends on the game too. I think most modern games I wouldn't want to play split screen, but
especially because a lot of modern games that do support split screen, when you do that, the graphics take a hit because it's rendering twice as much stuff. At least some games that I've played that's happened. I can't think of any examples, but
it's
Lego, trying to present
right?
twice as much visuals. Yeah. I don't think Lego has that problem. There's not.
Like, I'll still load up some Perfect Dark or GoldenEye on the N64 on occasion and have some split screen with some friends.
I think if Shadows of the Empire had come out after GoldenEye, it definitely would have had split screen multiplayer, and it would have been awful. But we still would have played it.
Speaking of split screen multiplayer that was awful, Republic Commando had split screen multiplayer. That game is amazing. In my opinion, one of the best Star Wars games. It got a little repetitive with the squad commands, but otherwise, the physics. Last time I went and played it maybe a year or two ago, I was still like, yeah, these physics are cool. It was a really great game. It had split screen multiplayer that was attempting to compete with Halo, I think, and it was not good. Especially because it was clones versus Trandoshans, and I'm pretty sure the Trandoshans had really, really loud footsteps, and the clones didn't, so they could never sneak up on somebody. But also, it just wasn't good.
So we didn't get a ton of shooters after Battlefront 2 that come to mind or came up in my research. That they just seemed to end. When we got some RPGs, we got a lot of DS games, and we got a whole bunch of PSP sequels for Battlefront, but we didn't get anything really until...
Right, the Lego games certainly don't count. I wouldn't even say 1313 counts. I would place that more... It kind of counts, but I'd lump that in with the adventure genre.
Yeah, that's fair. More along the lines of Force Unleashed.
Right. I mean, technically, the main mode of combat is shooting things. So I guess maybe even Bounty Hunter would fall more in adventure than shooter, but I don't know. It's a blurry line.
Well, okay, so where would you put... It's not Star Wars, but Gears of War. Would you call that a shooter? Would you call that adventure?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a shooter.
It's a shooter at its heart. You shoot things. That's the whole point of the game.
Except for when you chainsaw
unquestionably, yeah.
It's a chainsaw.
Unquestionably a shooter.
But then
if we go to Uncharted,
yes,
that
Uncharted
is one of the games that's, it's an adventure game. Same with Tomb Raider. Or the more modern Tomb Raiders. Right. I don't know about the older ones.
Yeah, because Uncharted is all interesting puzzles and platforms interrupted by occasional bouts of really awful shooting.
But you only played the first one, didn't you?
I started playing the second one time, then ran out of time.
They really cleaned up the shooting mechanic in 2 and 3, obviously. But that's okay. We're not talking about that. I just had to defend Uncharted because I love it. But yeah, so we didn't get much from the release of Battlefront 2, 2005, to Battlefront 2015, EA Star Wars Battlefront. So
we had a good, 10 years without any shooters in Star Wars.
Which seems bizarre as hell.
I mean, it was 10 years without really anything besides the 2 Force Unleashed games and the Kinect game, right?
Lego.
Oh yeah, and the Lego games are some of the best Star Wars games, so. Well, maybe that's some rose-tinted goggles. When we went and replayed some of those, they weren't as good as I remember them being.
Yeah. And then SWTOR was 2012.
Yeah, that's not a shooter.
No, I'm just saying, like, that's another game
yeah.
that we got in that span of no shooters.
Mm-hmm.
So did that genre within Star Wars just peak and then no one...
Well...
Or what do you think happened with that?
Well, they were coming out with that game called First Assault, which was essentially a Call of Duty wannabe.
Yeah.
And that got canceled when Disney bought Lucasfilm, right? That was one of the projects that just died along with 1313 and that Darth Maul game and some other stuff. So it was like coming back around. That probably would have come out... Well, if that died when Disney bought them, that probably wouldn't have come out any sooner than like 2014 had things kept going as planned, right?
Yeah. Because, I mean, before it was canceled, though, I mean, there was Battlefront 3 being
right,
worked on.
yeah. I wonder if the next Battlefront 3 will suffer the same fate where it just doesn't get to happen.
At this rate, well...
I think at that point, because LucasArts was also kind of like floundering in that time period where they pushed out Force Unleashed and a lot of they were having like financial trouble or like staffing. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but like just them as like a production company weren't doing so hot, which probably accounts for some of that lack of games.
Yeah. I mean, the other part I think problem is with the genre is it peaked way back with Jedi Knight Mysteries of the Sith.
And why is that? I know the answer, but
and really that's why I think the genre's floundered is because really none of the other games since then had Mara Jade in it.
I'm just picturing the head of LucasArts. They're like, all right, we got the Call of Duty killer, the Halo killer, next big thing. He's like, is Mara Jade in it? I'm like, no. And he's like, all right, get out. We're done here.
He's a
We
real
can put
fan.
her in. Nope.
So you're saying
Then George Lucas is like,
couldn't you get could you get a Mara Jade skin in Force Unleashed?
No.
You
I
could.
don't believe there are any
What am I
female
thinking?
character skins for Force Unleashed. There's a lot of funky skins you could use in that game, including Starkiller in like the Clone Wars animated style.
Which is awesome.
And I think Akbar was my favorite.
Yes,
one.
I was gonna say if you can play as Admiral Akbar, but you can't play as Mara Jade.
I just remember playing it as Akbar in the campaign for Force Unleashed 2.
Yeah.
And it like stayed there in some of the cutscenes that were like generated in engine. So he's just like, where is she? And it's just like an unmoving Akbar face, like it's not articulated or anything. But then EA came and saved us from our drought of bad. Wait.
Yeah.
No, they
What?
didn't.
Yeah, no.
EA didn't
I
save
personally
us
have
from
enjoyed them, but I won't claim that they're great.
And we've talked before.
Wasn't this what our last episode was about? Just how disappointed we are in EA.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't need to reiterate that. We certainly can, and justifiably so. But I guess the real question, well, not a question to ask is whether or not following trends in other games has been either beneficial to Star Wars or has made them suffer more. Because, I mean, throughout all of the games that we've been talking about, they've sort of tried to do what other shooters have done. In fact, you mentioned like the one that got canceled was like Call of Duty.
Right. I feel like the ones that stand out to me the most are a lot more unique and not copycatty, such as Republic Commando. Was that like I said, the multiplayer was kind of trying to copy Halo, but the single player was fairly unique with the squad commands and like team play with your AI friends. I thought the first Battlefront stood out, like just maybe it was a lot like Battlefield. I hadn't played a lot of the older Battlefield games, but just kind of the big space
Ha!
command post.
You could get a Mara Jade skin in the Wii version of Force Unleashed, which is why I remember it, because that's the version I had.
Oh yeah, that was essentially a completely different game, too. It was just an entirely different game, because the Wii could not run the crazy, innovative physics engine that game was using. So they just made a totally different game for the Wii, and I think like PS2 it came out on.
They even had a version of it for the N-Gage.
Oh, that's right.
That's probably like a mobile version too, back when everyone was still using flip phones.
I
ones with like little sprites.
Surprised. So you don't think that trying to copy trends has... Well, I guess you did answer the question, that they're better when they are not trying to copy trends. And I certainly agree with you.
Well, now let's turn that around again and look at 2015 and 2017 Battlefronts, which were clearly not trying to emulate Battlefield, which is, made by the same company. And in all the ways that it didn't do what Battlefield does, it failed. Like, there's no conquest mode. That would have been perfect in Battlefront. There's no squad play. Would have been perfect in Battlefront. Mm-hmm. Like, they've tried to be unique with that in different ways, and that didn't work out.
It's a very good point. So I guess in this micro discussion of should they or shouldn't they try to be like what's currently popular, I mean, we've joked about them announcing a Battle Royale style Star Wars game. If it was a good game, would we like it? Like, if it was well programmed and well thought out, well executed, would we tolerate the fact that it's nonsensical?
Probably.
Yeah.
Just depends on, I don't know. I mean, if you're saying if it's a good game, would I like it? Yes.
I mean, it all depends on, again, I mean, if it was basically just if it's Battlefront's movement and gunplay just in a battle royale setting, that I ain't playing that. I mean, I just hate everything about that. It's so if they were gonna do a battle royale thing, they would just need to scrap everything they have, start over, just
I think it would
kill the past.
I would prefer that they had some sort of reason for it to exist thematically. Like, there's just a hut, and you've been captured, and he's dumped you all in here.
Oh yeah,
in this arena or something. Basically, Hunger Games, but in Star Wars.
A thematic reason for the game to exist wouldn't take too much work to come up with. It's more making the game fun to play.
Just give me a couple different maps of exotic locations where you would dump people to kill each other, like Felucia or Tatooine and things like that, and put some creatures in there. That's how you set it apart, besides the fact that in this imaginary game you'd be able to customize your look with cool Star Wars things like Stormtrooper armor, but only on your legs or whatever, and Cad Bane hats for everybody. But as you're running around, you'd get ambushed by an Acklay or a Tusken Raider or something. That's all I want out of a Battle Royale game, is where I am just fighting NPCs and every once in a while I'll run into a PC.
I want the combat, just in general, the gameplay to feel faster. Whenever I play the DICE Battlefronts, I feel like I'm running through syrup. Just everything feels so slow.
That's because you play a lot of Overwatch.
You move slow. it throws everything off for me when I play. And I would like there to not be them to dump the mechanic where you duck behind a rock and shoot back up to full health, because that's stupid. Yeah, I mean, if they did those two things, that would be a start towards an enjoyable game.
We're going to find out something on Saturday, and I'm sure we'll be talking about it on our next episode.
Oh yeah, because
June has become video game month here.
Because Saturday is EA Play.
Yup. And they've already given us the second half of the solo season in a trailer today.
And they've hinted that there's going to be some kind of big Star Wars announcements.
I think
whether it's Battlefront related or not.
I think it's going to be Battlefront related, and I think it's going to be please keep playing Battlefront type thing. They're probably going to just announce some new content for Battlefront, trying to get people to keep caring or come back to it.
They're going to announce Battlefront 3.
When did they announce Battlefront 2?
I don't know. It feels like it was about a week after Battlefront 1 came out.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember exactly where and when they announced Battlefront. I don't remember anything about them announcing Battlefront 2.
I don't remember either. I just remember thinking, wow, that was really soon when it was announced. But I think Battlefront 1 was so bad that they needed a quick replacement for that one. Of course, Battlefront 2 really didn't turn out to be much better, but whatever.
Well, the other possible news that they might have for us is the Respawn title. Like you and I and me and other folks have been talking about what that could entail, and we joked that it would just be an exact replica of that 2-second video they had of the other one that got scrapped. So, I mean, we have no idea what it is, except that it's going to be from the team that made Titanfall and Titanfall
we know
2.
There's a lightsaber or two in it. I think that's all we know.
Okay. So
yeah, because there's another one where we just saw like some mocap people doing a lightsaber fight.
Oh yeah, that was that, wasn't it?
Yes.
So do you think this is going to veer more into adventure game than shooter game?
I hope so. I mean, I would prefer something different from what they've given us so far.
I mean, at this point, I would take almost anything.
You're not gonna like it.
I'm not gonna like it. I know, but at least it would give me something new to bitch about. I feel like I'm starting to sound like a broken record here when we talk about Battlefront.
Well, I mean, we kind of have been for a while. I guess that the question that I have is, what are the expectations? What are we wanting that is not being met, and don't say a non-garbage game, because that doesn't tell people listening, doesn't tell developers, like, what are the points that we want to hit? What are the boxes that need to be checked to make a good Star Wars shooter, whether it's a first person or not a story-based single player game, or if it's a multiplayer game, or if it's both. Like, what are the boxes that need to be checked?
Well, I think the game needs to have both single and multiplayer in it. Okay? There's a big audience for both, and lots of games do it. It can be done. Just make your campaign actually interesting. I mean, don't make whatever Battlefront 2's campaign was, just don't make that shit again. The story and Dark Forces was an interesting one of this. You start off, like, the first mission is a really good hook, where you start off, you're getting the Death Star plans. That's cool. I mean, it basically right there tells you what a badass Kyle Katarn is supposed to be, because he can bust into an Imperial base and steal the Death Star plans. And then you go from there to find this whole thing with the Dark Troopers and stuff, and it's it's just like I said right there in a game that's how old, with basically almost no cutscenes and stuff like that. I mean, there are some cutscenes, but not like sophisticated in-level cutscenes and stuff like that, like you would get out of Battlefront. And yet they managed to craft a much better, more interesting story with way more limitations.
Mm-hmm.
Did they had technical limitations, but I'm sure they had way fewer narrative limitations.
That's probably very true.
Right?
Because
Back then, the rule was don't kill Han, Luke, or Leia. Go write a Star Wars story. That was about it.
Yeah. I mean,
that could be the name of a movie. Don't kill Han, Luke, or Leia, a Star Wars story.
That is a fair point, yes. But at the same time, they also didn't just have a story filled with every single damn cliche you possibly could cram into one story. I mean, it's to the point where some of the stuff in Battlefront 2 is almost like a crappy fan fiction than a real story, because it's just, like I said, everything that happens, right down to Iden and what's his face making out as the sun sets at the end of the Battle of Jakku. It's just so damn dumb. I hate it.
I kind of want to do a commentary playthrough now with both of you.
So yeah, I think that would be the start. Multiplayer and single player. And if you're going to do the single player campaign, make it interesting. Have a well-crafted story to go along with that.
And, if I had a request for a story, don't use any really big characters. Don't let me play as Han. Don't let me play as Luke. Don't even let me meet Luke. Give me a story that's like auxiliary to all that stuff. Like, I can still be in the rebellion and whatever, but
yeah, I mean,
how about this? Ooh, I got it.
At best, I would like to maybe be like at, say, like a rebel briefing,
right,
before a battle, and Leia's up there talking or something like that. But don't have me walk up after the briefing and be like, hey, Leia, my home slice, how's it going? And we're best friends. And
just adapt the story from Battlefront Twilight Company, the novel, into a new story. Because that was a good Star Wars story where you had just the right amount of, like, notable character cameos, which I think was, like, maybe one scene where Darth Vader shows up and he doesn't even care about the characters in the book. I think he shows up on Hoth and they're like, oh, we're screwed. And he just, like, ignores them because he's looking for Luke or something. How great would that be in a game? Darth Vader comes through the door, he kills a couple dudes, and then you're like, oh, I have to fight Vader now? And he just leaves.
They should have, they should make a game. It's just, Star Wars, Battle of Scarif hallway simulator. And it's just, you're a rebel trooper stuck in a hallway, and there's up in the corner, there's like a timer, and it's just you just see how long you can survive before Vader finally kills you. He will kill you. It's just you try and delay the inevitable.
You can have two games in one, where the flip side, you play as Vader, but it's kind of like a game that has no end. And so you just wade through all these rebels, and there gets to be progressively more and more and more, and, harder ones and ones that do more damage, and maybe like gaps in the floor you got to remember to jump over.
It's basically like it's a game like Dynasty Warriors, only you're just Darth Vader just mowing down hordes and hordes of rebel troopers.
It sounds like you want the opening level of the first Force Unleashed.
That's a fun level. Just swap all the Wookiees for rebels, and then confine it to just one hallway, like Old Boy, but with Vader. And then at the end you have to fight the Defenders, because that's what they do. They fight in hallways, right?
Yep, especially Daredevil. He loves hallway fights.
Oh, he does. So getting away from a solid story and multiplayer that's serviceable. Like what would make a serviceable multiplayer experience that we don't currently have? I guess that's the question.
I am like mostly satisfied with what we currently have, but you'd have to start without any of the bullshit that made Battlefront as like kind of lackluster as it is right now. You can't start with a giant barrier to people wanting to play. Just have a decent progression system, have a decent squad system. Just take all these that Battlefield has, put it in Battlefront, and then it's okay. I don't mind the gameplay at all. I like, and the physics are fun. Keep the little blaster burns when I shoot people. That makes it worth it enough. When I see like a stormtrooper fall over with a char hole in the side of his head, and it's so funny. It gets me every time, especially if I like get him point blank with like a hand cannon and they just flop over. It's so good.
Yeah, for myself, I like the feel of Battlefront 2. It has a heft to it. We've discussed this before. Like it's a much better shooter for me than Battlefront 1. I think they got a lot of the balance better with it too. Most of the evidence for me for that point is just that I don't die quite as quickly or as frequently in 2 as I did in 1. And so, to me, that spells a better game. Because if I can do slightly better, that's an improvement. We've talked about things like spawn points. That's super broken compared to 2004-2005 Battlefront, where you could pick a spawn point as long as your team owned it.
Well, the old Battlefronts, it's also, that's another thing that's so weird about how the new modern Battlefronts have sort of skewed away from a bunch of the stuff in Battlefield, when the old Battlefronts were basically just Battlefield knockoffs with a Star Wars skin slapped on them.
Yeah, they really were. And then, like we said on the last episode, the whole fiasco with the store, with the crystals and the crates, just kind of broke a fundamental part of the game, both from how it was actually used and then after it was gotten rid of. So
yeah, if you're gonna have loot crates or whatever in the game, which I guess at this point I've just kind of, you just kind of have to accept as a thing in modern gaming and just move on. But if you're gonna have it, only put cosmetic stuff in there. Don't put upgrades for characters or weapons or anything like that in loot crates, because that is complete and utter bullshit.
And they switched it in Battlefront. They're like, okay, only cosmetic stuff. And now there's just no crates. You get a daily crate when you log in with 500 credits in it. And that's it. You can't buy a crate full of cosmetics even if you wanted to. Which is... it's so busted right now.
Yeah. The loot crates in Overwatch don't bother me, because it's nothing but skins and emotes and voice lines. So if you didn't care about that aspect, then you could just ignore them. In fact, I've seen videos of people playing where they have like thousands of unopened loot crates just sitting in their inventory because they just don't care because most of the time you're in first person mode anyway, so you don't even see what skin you're wearing, so who cares what skin you've got on?
It's another reason I like third person. I get to look at my cool character model.
But if you do care, you still don't have to spend money, because their system is set up such that you still earn crates at a meaningful rate. You can earn crates at a meaningful rate there. if you are just going 100% free to play. Well, I guess not really free to play since you do have to pay to buy the game, actually. But after that, if you want to do no more real money.
And isn't one of the main selling points of the upcoming Battlefield 5, hey, no loot crates? Like, aren't they going out of their way to say that? Or
For Battlefield 5?
yeah, or have I misheard that?
Yes. No, they've said that.
So maybe when they announce Battlefront 3, they'll be like, hey, guess what? No loot crates. I don't know why they were going through puberty just now, but I don't know. Maybe that's the case. Maybe that's their problem.
Battlefront 2 was all made by prepubescents, so that's what you're saying.
Well,
so
who made
when
Battlefront 1,
3
then?
comes out, when Battlefront 3 comes out, their balls have finally dropped. And
That's exactly right. Now they know how to make the game.
I mean, Battlefront was the alpha. Battlefront 2 was their beta. So Battlefront 3 should be somewhat of a complete product.
And you'll just buy the season pass, and then you can get, the expansions for $25. Destiny. All right. Well, I think we've been going for a bit, and I don't know if we had any other thoughts to add to this. It's kind of a continuation of last episode, really. So we said a lot there. We said a lot here. And, of course, we're going to say more after this weekend, so maybe we should leave it there and not, beat this horse to death too much more. But I think, like you said, this is going to be the month of video games. I don't know. Oh, you know what? No, we did that last time. We did predictions last time. Never mind. Everyone should just go to bed now.
I just think that Leo's going to be incredibly disappointed. And Evan and I are going to be like, all right. Regardless of what news comes out this weekend.
yeah, you're probably right. There's short of them announcing a new flight simulator, like a new Star Wars flight sim game in the vein of X-Wing and TIE Fighter, I don't think they can really announce anything that's going to I'm going to be like, yes.
They're going to announce a new flight simulator in the vein of Microsoft Flight Simulator.
You know what? That would be cool.
You get like a skyhopper, and then
and you actually have to flip all the levers on the control panel and everything. It's actually, that would almost be like playing what is Elite Dangerous, only
that would be a VR game where you have to fly the Falcon, but you also have to push the 15 random buttons whenever you're about to do something. All right, shift power to the rear deflectors, and you push 2 on the left side of the cockpit, 1 on the top, 3 on the right side, but none of them are labeled.
Can it be like in the Falcon in the old movies where none of the switches had springs in them? So Harrison Ford, he would flip the switches and then they would immediately just all fall back down.
They're toggles. They're toggle switches. So it would be more like a rhythm game. You'd have to click at the right time.
And then you'd have to listen to the sound the Falcon was making to know if you were doing the right thing or not.
This is working. This is working for me. I'm sure
You can hit it, and it goes, and it'll come back on.
I think we've got a hit on our hands.
Falcon Sim.
2017.
And then you can leave the cockpit and just go lounge and play holochess.
And you can pick different skins. You can pick the Lando Falcon or the Han Falcon.
Yeah.
Or the Rey Falcon.
Yeah, you can set up a little nest for porgs in there, and you can feed your porgs. Or cook them, or whatever they keep them around for.
Porg Tycoon. There we go. That's a game that I'd be excited to play.
Porg Crossing. Harvest Porg. Such fun for the DS. Man, I have to get a 2DS just to play that. That'd be great. I'd do it. All right, I think that means that we're done for now. But we're coming back to this topic next week, whether or not we get anything, because then we'll complain about not getting anything. Hooray! So, unless, again, one more chance. Any other thoughts? Going once?
Nope.
Going twice?
The fish has jumped.
Now it's done. All right. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Joe. Thank you all for being here. Thank you to listeners who take their time to join us. Thank you. Christian was in chat with us tonight. Maybe he'll come back on. Well, hey, actually, he should be on some of the Gen Con episodes. He'll definitely be on. And to everybody else who makes the show possible, thank you to everyone. And tune in next time on the next episode of the Jodo Cast.
And now you can do like we were talking about how we should do a previously on JodoCast. Now you can do like a next time on JodoCast, and it's all just me like, did you see that game? That game. Damn it.
I can't believe it. We got all our hopes up again for nothing.